Hey guys, it's Conf Hollywood Studios here, and today I'm going to be counting down the top 25 roller coasters that I've ridden from worst to best. So currently I've ridden 299 different roller coasters, so it's a very difficult choice to pick what should and shouldn't be in the top 25. Before the video begins, I would like to mention three coasters that many believe should be in this list that I have ridden and they are not. Those three coasters are Phantom's Revenge at Kennywood, Phoenix at Knoebels, and Voyage at Holiday World. These three coasters all left me more unimpressed than I was expecting. I was expecting more out of them for the hype they were given, and they just didn't deliver. So personally, those three coasters do not make my top 25. But let's get right into the list by first mentioning the five coasters that didn't quite make the top 25, but do make the top 30. Those five coasters are the Voyage at Holiday World, Nitro at Six Flags Great Adventure, Mako at SeaWorld Orlando, Copperhead Strike at Carowinds, and Apollo's Chariot at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. Now, let's start off the list with number 25, which is New Texas Giant at Six Flags Over Texas. This is my personal least favorite RMC coaster, but that does not mean it's a bad ride at all. It has some really good airtime, a really cool layout with a lot of bank turns. It's a very fun ride and a very long ride. Considering this is RMC's first coaster, they did an absolutely great job, and this is certainly not the first RMC coaster you will see on this list. At number 24, we have Candymonium at Hersheypark in Pennsylvania. This is a very recent B&M hypercoaster, very similar to Nitro, just smaller, and this ride's a lot of fun. It's definitely, like I said, a smaller coaster in size compared to other hypercoasters, but it gives some really good floater airtime, and I love that outer bank turn, if you even want to call it that. It's a really cool element, and overall, I just love how it looks with Hershey's new area, which is Chocolate Town. At number 23, we have my favorite B&M hypercoaster, which is Diamondback at Kings Island in Ohio. I used to think this was probably my least favorite B&M hypercoaster because I always got really bad rides on it in the morning. But that all changed this year when I was able to ride it midday with Fastlane, and wow. A back row ride on this gives some of the greatest floater airtime I've ever experienced. I was out of my seat like crazy, and thankfully the operators allowed me to have tons of room, and overall it was just an incredible ride. Definitely one of the best coasters at Kings Island. At number 22, we have Diamondback's neighbor, which is Orion at Kings Island as well. This is the new for 2020 B&M Giga Coaster at Kings Island, and it is very similar to Diamondback, shockingly similar actually. It is a little bit taller at around 287 feet and features a very similar layout with a lot of up and down moments as opposed to staying low to the ground like other Giga coasters. Orion is a good ride, but I do feel like it lacks some things that I would expect from a Giga coaster. That is not to say it's a bad ride at all, as it is almost in my top 20, so it's a great ride. Overall, though, it's a very strange fit at Kings Island, especially with Diamondback being pretty much right next to it. At number 21, we have Lightning Run at Kentucky Kingdom. This is a Chance Hyper GTX roller coaster, and you don't see any of these. This is the only installation of this ride model, and it honestly baffles me. This is such a great ride for its size and location. It just gives some great ejector airtime, some really good whip. Overall, it's a super fun ride. At number 20, we have Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England in Agawam, Massachusetts. This is another really good ride. This is a hypercoaster from the year 2000, and it has gone through quite a few changes. Originally, it opened as Superman Ride of Steel, then it was switched to Bizarro, and following an incident where someone was ejected from the train, there were new restraints put on, and it was rethemed back to Superman. Unfortunately, these restraints are probably the ride's biggest downfall, as they are some of the most uncomfortable restraints I think I've ever sat in. The T-bars definitely would have been a lot better on this ride, but accidents happen, and that's why we have what we have. But what we have is still an incredible ride with a great layout. At number 19, we have another coaster that's very similar to Superman, which is Millennium Force at Cedar Point. This is a ride that has always been a favorite of mine ever since I rode it for the first time 3 years ago, and it is just an incredible ride. This is another Giga coaster that measures 310 feet in height, and its lift hill actually runs right along Lake Erie, like many other coasters at Cedar Point, and it just gives some great views overall. It's really cool. At number 18, we have another coaster at Cedar Point, And this is a coaster that has gone through a very big change, in my opinion, which is Magnum XL 200. I used to despise this ride. I used to think it was one of the worst at Cedar Point. I used to not get the hype until this year. I got to ride it 6 times on the day of Coaster Mania back in June, and wow, did this ride surprise me. This ride gives some really powerful airtime and has such a cool layout. I was lucky enough to get 2 back row night rides with the trims off. They run it trimless during Coaster Mania ERT, and that helix was so intense, it was unreal. We actually wound up overshooting the special effects in the tunnel with the airtime hill, which is just great. Overall, Magnum is an absolutely incredible ride that is definitely a little polarizing, but if you get a good ride on it, you're in for a treat. At number 17 is Skyrush at Hersheypark. This is another polarizing coaster, another hyper coaster, but it is great. You get some of the most insane ejector airtime on this ride, and while the restraints can be a problem to some, I really don't mind them at all. The only reason this coaster isn't higher is because, quite frankly, it does not have a very good layout. It drops, turns, airtime hill, turn, airtime hill, and then it's pretty much just a bunch of turns into the brakes. But those 2 airtime hills and other twisting moments on the ride are really, really good, which makes Skyrush another one of the best coasters I've ridden. At number 16, we have Mystic Timbers at Kings Island. This is my current favorite coaster at Kings Island for good reason. It is an incredible GCI, my favorite coaster by the manufacturer, and it is just great how it goes into the woods, twists and turns, gives you incredible floater airtime, and of course that really weird but cool finale in the shed with the theming. While some people like to knock this ride for the shed, I think it has one incredible layout and a really cool attempt at theming by Cedar Fair, and I think it wound up working out pretty well. At number 15 is Wonder Woman Golden Lasso Coaster at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. This is the prototype RMC Raptor coaster, and you will see its bigger brother very soon on this list, but this ride is crazy intense. That drop, Raven Dive, airtime hill, turnaround, it's all just insane. This ride gives some really, really strong airtime, some really crazy lateral G-forces, and overall is just one of the most intense coasters I think I've ever ridden. At number 14 is Jersey Devil at Six Flags Great Adventure. This is a new for 2021 coaster, one of 2 you will see on this list, and it's a great ride. It's definitely gone through a lot of changes ever since it opened. When it first opened, it was running fairly slow with the original wheels it had, and it was trimming on the mid-course brake run, but as time has progressed, the wheels have been changed, and the trims on the mid-course have been turned off, meaning that the ride is pretty much in its fullest form right now, and it's running incredible. A back row or front row ride on this at night really shows you what RMC can do, and it's just great. It's absolutely an incredible ride, and the reason I have it over Wonder Woman is because it feels like more of a complete ride. Wonder Woman feels like it's way too short, whereas Jersey Devil feels like it's a pretty good length. Overall, though, Jersey Devil is an absolutely great ride. At number 13, we have Outlaw Run at Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. This is an absolutely incredible RMC with one of the best, if not the best, night rides on any coaster. This coaster takes place in the woods of Branson, and it has just an incredible setting in that woods. It has a really, really good layout with some great airtime, and like I said, a night ride on this is pretty much unmatched. The darkness in those woods is just incredible. I can't even put it into words. At number 12, we have another RMC coaster, Wicked Cyclone at Six Flags New England. Before this year, I hadn't ridden it since 2017, so I got some much needed re-rides this year, and it was running incredible. The airtime on this is super powerful. There are some really good moments like the 2 Outer Bank turns, and overall this ride has one of the most intricate layouts on an RMC coaster I've ever seen, which definitely contributes to why I like it so much. The way Alan Schilke designed this coaster to weave in and out of the structure and to complete its layout with a good amount of speed is just incredible to me. At number 11, we have Storm Chaser at Kentucky Kingdom. This is another incredible RMC with probably some of the strongest airtime on an RMC I've ever seen. It just absolutely throws you out of your seat, feeling like it's trying to absolutely kill you. It's not the longest RMC, but the elements it provides is some of the most insane elements on any coaster. It's very, very powerful. Next up at number 10, we have Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion in Virginia. This ride is very similar to Storm Chaser, just with a bit of a longer layout. I think it's also a bit more of a well-balanced layout too. They both have barrel roll drops, but Twisted Timbers actually has way more airtime with the 3 consecutive airtime moments, which give you some great ejector airtime. The trick track double up, all the little bunny hops in between, and all the inversions are also super fun on Twisted Timbers. At number 9, we have Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City in Branson, Missouri. This ride is a ride you really just need to ride to understand how great it actually is. This ride is definitely the most unique coaster I think I've ever ridden, and the motions you get by spinning and going through some of these elements like twisted airtime hills, vertical loops, and launches is just unbelievable. I can't wait to get on more Mach Extreme spinning coasters because they are incredible. At number 8, we have Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. This ride, while it is short, is one of the greatest coasters out there. That first drop and the drop off the quarry wall alone put this coaster in my top 10. This ride has some of the greatest airtime and definitely the best setting out of any RMC coaster. I love the 0G roll up onto the top of the quarry wall and all the little bunny hops that lead you up into the dive off. I love flying through the quarry wall and heading up into the brake run. It's overall just a great ride. If it was longer, it would probably be in my top 3, maybe even my number 1 coaster. At number 7, we have Maverick at Cedar Point. This is a ride that's always been a personal favorite of mine for how unique it is. It has pretty much everything you could want out of a coaster. A really, really steep and insane first drop, really great rapid fire elements, very high positive G-forces, some incredible airtime moments, a launch. Overall, it's the full package out of a roller coaster, and I love it. However, it's not quite as good now that there's another coaster, which we'll see much higher up on this list. At number 6, we have Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. This is another Giga coaster, and whoa, is it intense. This is probably the most intense coaster I've ever ridden for the fact that every single ride you gray out in that first turn. It is by far just one of the most insane experiences on a coaster. There are not many coasters that make you gray or even black out, but Intimidator 305 is one of those coasters that can pretty much manage to do it every ride. It's insane. It also has some really good snappy maneuvers, pretty much bigger and faster versions of what Maverick has, and overall it's just an absolutely incredible ride. Getting into the top 5, at number 5 we have Fury 325 at Carowinds. This ride is my favorite Giga coaster and my favorite coaster by B&M for good reason. It is incredible. This ride has such a great first drop, and it's so graceful with its elements while still managing to be very aggressive. Those turns really throw you around, and I love the treble clef and just how it looks at the park. Overall, this ride gives some really good airtime, really good gracefulness, and is overall an incredible ride. At number 4, we have Lightning Rod at Dollywood. So when I rode this ride, it was very different than how it looks like it's running now. When I rode this ride in 2019, as you can see from this footage, it was absolutely blasting up that lift hill and flying over the top. This allowed you to get a crazy pop of ejector airtime in the front row, which is actually why I like it so much. However, I did have to drop at a couple spots considering the fact that nowadays it doesn't give that, and that was my favorite part of the ride. However, this ride, even without that pop of airtime, is incredible. Launching up the mountain over 200 feet and dropping down and going through an absolutely incredible airtime-packed layout is great. Some of the strongest airtime on an RMC, and overall one of the greatest layouts of any coaster. It's so cool how it works with the terrain. At number 3, we have El Toro at Six Flags Great Adventure. This ride is a personal favorite of mine for many reasons, the main one being the fact that it's at my home park, and I've been riding it for years. I absolutely love this ride to pieces. The ejector airtime on it is some of the strongest, if not the strongest airtime on any coaster, period. It's absolutely incredible. This ride also has such a good setting at Great Adventure, and it allows some really good photo opportunities, especially in the Frontier Adventures area. I can't wait for this ride to reopen so I can get on some more night rides on El Toro. At number 2 is the other new for 2021 coaster, VelociCoaster at Universal's Islands of Adventure. This ride really is the full package. You have some incredible theming and a great ride to go along with it. If this ride didn't have theming, it still would be in my top 5, but the incredible story and theming that Universal has tied along with the ride is what makes it so great. This ride's theme is pretty much that they built a roller coaster in the Raptor paddock based off of the Jurassic World films. And I love seeing Chris Pratt just absolutely yelling at Claire, saying that they're crazy, and they definitely are crazy. This ride has some of the greatest elements on any coaster, and it's just such a picturesque coaster. Very happy to have ridden this coaster this year, and overall is absolutely incredible. But VelociCoaster was not able to dethrone my number one coaster, which is Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. This ride is absolutely insane. It has so much airtime, the most airtime of any coaster in the world, and it's not just floater airtime like Voyage, sorry Voyage fanboys, but it gives some really powerful ejector airtime on almost every element. And when you get a trimless ride on this at night like I did for Coaster Mania this year, it's unbelievable. Definitely the best coaster I have ridden, maybe even the best coaster in the world. Trimless night rides on it are absolutely incredible, and if you haven't ridden Steel Vengeance yet, you gotta get to Cedar Point. It is just incredible. Overall, though, that will wrap up my top 25 roller coasters that I have ridden. Keep in mind, this is not fact, this is my opinion, so you are more than welcome to disagree with my opinion. Let me know in the comments section what you agree with and what you would disagree with. Of course, be sure to like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video for more videos of this style, and I'll see you guys in the next video.